In Indonesia, they are known as the waria. In the Philippines, they're called bakla, among other names. In Thailand, and I believe also in Cambodia and for some reason South Korea, they're called kathoey. I may be mispronouncing that. One thing one notices throughout Southeast Asia is the visibility of transgendered people. You also see it in the female population, where you have the rather masculine-looking female in a masculine-looking a set of clothes, and perhaps in a masculine occupation, say as a police person or a construction worker or something along these lines, with the close cropped hair and male mannerisms. The more visible ones, of course, are the transgendered males. And they are very visible. You notice them because throughout Southeast Asia, women are expected to be demure and withdrawn, or perhaps not so much withdrawn as a little bit standoffish towards males that they don't know. Whereas in most Southeast Asian cultures, the ladyboys are extroverts, or at least they are encouraged to be extroverts. And they're accomplished flirts very often, and they give everyone a great laugh. And I often wonder, when I see this sort of thing in Southeast Asia, why we in the West even care either way. What is it in Western culture that makes this issue such a awkward one? I won't say that it is for everybody, and I won't say that it's a easy ride of it in Southeast Asia either. I'm just saying, on a continuum, the Southeast Asians seem to be much more comfortable with this aspect of human society, even in the Muslim country of Indonesia. The waria are quite visible, and for better or for worse, they're rather popular with a large segment of the population. With the religious people, they are not popular, and they can get sometimes a rough ride in the press, or at least from the pulpit. But this being Southeast Asia, having an opinion is one thing. Having the initiative to actually do something about it is quite another. I would still say that even in the Muslim country of Indonesia, they have a much easier time of it than they would here in the West. And I wonder why that is. It's not necessarily religion, because as I say, Indonesia is Muslim. The Thais are quite devoutly Buddhist. I don't think any country is more profoundly Christian than the Philippines. In fact, I would say the Philippines is probably the most religious country of them all in Southeast Asia. It's kind of ironic. Everyone would assume that for some reason the Indonesians, although from what I hear, I've never been to Malaysia, but they may actually win that first prize, but I'm not entirely sure. I've never been there. But in all these religious cultures, which may officially have the position that this is unacceptable, again, making a pronouncement from the pulpit and actually that being translated into people's everyday attitudes is not necessarily the same thing. Anyone who's been to Southeast Asia knows how hard it is to get people worked up into a fury about something. They're just too laid back for that kind of thing. So I wonder what it is. Is it the tropical climate? Is it our history of aggressive masculinity in our culture? Is it perhaps some sort of repression in our culture that prevents us from being so at ease with this issue as compared to the people of Southeast Asia? The main thing that actually interests me about this is, I wonder, after having been to these countries of Thailand and Cambodia and Burma. Burma, actually, I forgot, they have a culture of ladyboys as well. The Philippines and Indonesia. you see it, it's quite visible there, and you wonder how many people in our society would actually live that way given a chance, if the restraints were taken off or loosened to the extent that they are in Asia. How many people in our society would, as it were, come out and start wearing clothes of the opposite gender? And at the end of the day, again, why do we even care? Now, I'm painting this somewhat distorted picture of the transgendered culture of Southeast Asia. It's not all cut and dried, and there's certain aspects of it which I think that the more activist gay rights people or transgendered rights people here in the West would find offensive, i.e. the ladyboys of Southeast Asia often, but not always, but often, deliberately exaggerate and play right up to the stereotype of the effeminate, flighty, slightly blonde, I suppose, fag. Everyone laughs at them, and unfortunately, for better or for worse, the ladyboys are cool with that, and they play right up to it. But I think that also has something to do with the sense of humor of the Southeast Asian peoples. Laughter is only that. It's just laughter. It's just a good chuckle. Especially in the Philippines, like Dr. Hibbert, they will laugh at the strangest and most seemingly inappropriate times. Because laughter is always levity. It's always meant to just make you laugh and feel better. Whereas we have this sneering, sometimes black, cruel sense of humor about us in the West, which seems to be largely absent from the mindset of the Southeast Asian peoples. So when you take that sense of humor and you add that to the I suppose, deliberate self-ridiculing that you see the ladyboy culture in Southeast Asia inflicting upon itself, it takes some of that edge off. And there are other ways in which the activist set in the West might not like the stereotyping that takes place with ladyboys in Southeast Asia. You see them in certain professions, and unfortunately one of them is prostitution. That's the most visible one. But that's not the only one. They're often shop assistants, retail clerks. They seem to people believe that they're naturally artistic, that they're naturally far more outgoing and with a better, more developed sense of humor, more gregarious nature than other people's. Southeast Asians are by nature shy people. The ladyboys are not shy. This is a stereotype, though. And that kind of thing is something that even people who are pro-gay rights in the West might find hard to live with. But I will say this. I'm not a transgendered person. I'm a heterosexual male in a monogamous relationship, an actual marriage. But were I a transgendered individual, I think I would prefer the way that it's done in Southeast Asia, for all its faults, than the way that it's done here in the West. I can't say this enough. Why do we even care? Thank you.